All right, so I'll cut right to the chase. And this isn't coming from a hater perspective, not a hater. I do like WWE more than AEW. This isn't one of those AEW fans scolding WWE or all that stupid shit all like the Twitter people do. If you take away the returns, Survivor Series, I don't think was as good as a show as everyone else thought. Like, I'm like reading this thing. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. And I was actually expecting people to like kind of have like the same opinion as me, but like everyone's like 10 out of 10, banger, 11 out of 10, like 10, 12, 100 out of 100. And that is literally because of the return of CM Punk and Orton. But like, let's be honest here for a sec, guys. If CM Punk's music did not hit at the end of that show, what would you really think of the show? I felt like it was very lackluster, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I think Triple H is doing a great job. I think we could all agree on that. I feel like he's trying to go too opposite from Vince in the sense when Vince would have like these big four, big five pay-per-views. I think when all of us watch like Mania, Rumble, even Money in the Bank now, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, we're expecting it to be like 3.5, 4 hours. We're expecting it to be a longer show because it's a bigger show, bigger matches, more is going on. Triple H is taking the complete opposite of McMahon. He's trying to leave it where he doesn't want to overstay his welcome, and there is a good thought process to that. Like, if especially at pay-per-views like Payback, like all those other pay-per-views, Backlash, like I can understand the thought process there, but for SummerSlam, it felt like he wasn't trying to overstay his welcome. Everything was going quick. It's a big four pay-per-view, a big five pay-per-view, so I felt it should have been longer. I felt like everything was going too short. The positive is that the WarGames matches weren't as long as they were in previous years, because I felt like even NXT and even last year, it just felt like they were going on for so long. Like, so long, way longer than they should have been, overstaying their welcome, and now he clearly updated, and I felt like both WarGames matches, time-wise, did not feel long at all. They both felt like they went like a suitable amount of times. But that's another thing I'm actually going to get into later. But first, we're just going to get into like the overall show. 5 matches. We know that's the concept Triple H likes. Just 5 matches on a pay-per-view, big matches. And it worked in the TakeOver. It worked in like the TakeOver, NXT TakeOver era, because it was 5 matches, but all of them were like 15, 20 minutes. Long matches, meaningful matches, like everything felt like a big matches, crazy near falls. So the 5 matches was very suitable. It filled you up, made you feel satisfied. But when it's 5 matches and half of them are just like 8 minutes, 7 minutes, feeling like they ended before they even started, I felt like that took away a lot. So the first WarGames match happened with the females, went a good time, and then it went to Gunther and Miz, I believe, next. Went to Gunther and Miz or Santos, whatever. But the Gunther Miz match, I felt like that one was a good amount of time, but I felt like that one could have been like 5 minutes longer, like told a longer story, more meaningful, help get Miz over like the way they're trying to get him over. And then I was really, really disappointed at the Santos Dragon Lee match, because I was thinking Santos Dragon Lee, number one, didn't even want Dragon Lee in that spot. I feel like it would have been better being Carlito. Not sure if something actually happened and they had to like switch things up, but I was expecting, like, since Dragon Lee's in there, I'm like, oh, they must be trying to do a banger, sold out Allstate Arena. They're gonna pull out all the fucking lucha stops and just go so hard, like 15-20 minute near fall banger. Match was like 8 minutes, anticlimactic, did Dragon Lee zero favors. I was shocked when I watched that, like just the way he pinned him so easily, and especially seeing how they're building up Dragon Lee for that to just end like that. I was so mind blown, so disappointed. So that kind of took the wind out my sails. So the IC Championship match in that one, like the show, even with the return, ended like at 3 hours. There definitely could have been half an hour more into the show. No one would have complained. Even 45 minutes longer, no one would have complained. Like, they could have put like 5 to 8 more minutes on the IC Championship match. They could have done another 10. 10, 15 minutes on this Dragon Lee Santos match, like, really did a banger, because that's how Sheamus got over against Walter. Like, they had a banger match, and all of a sudden, Sheamus was, like, the most popular babyface on the roster. Like, they could have did the same thing for Dragon Lee, but they beat him so anticlimactic. And when you do that, especially in WWE, just makes people think, like, you're just another person, regardless of how, like, they're building you up. It's all about how you lose, especially in the WWE. When you get pinned so easily, people view you as an average guy. And, like, all the building up they did on Dragon Lee, just for him to get pinned so easy like that, I was just so, like, disappointed. And then the Rhea Zoe match, no one already believes Zoe was gonna win that match. Like, all these matches were good, but I just felt they could have been longer. Like, they were just solid matches, but on a big 4, big 5 pay-per-view, man, these need to be like some matches, you know? It's a big 5 pay-per-view, All-State Arena. They love wrestling. It's not a casual audience. It's just like, you know, like, gets tired easily. Like, they just want to see, like, the promo segments. Like, this is Chicago, All-State Arena. They want bangers, bro. They would thrive for banger matches. We could have had 3 banger matches and then these 2 WarGames matches. This would have been a 15 out of 10 if these 3 matches both went longer and helped the person losing more. If those 3 matches were bangers and then we had these WarGame matches and then the returns, this would have been like an all-timer pay-per-view. That's why we like that All Out or All In, I forgot which one it is, when Daniel Bryan Danielson, and Adam Cole debuted. Like, if you take those debuts away, it was a really good pay-per-view, but with those 2 returns and just like the hype on social media, that's what made that like an all-timer pay-per-view. And that's why people are saying this is like a 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10, 50 out of 10, because of the 2 returns. But imagine if all the matches were like these 3 matches in between the 2 WarGames matches were like more, like, just longer. Like, there was more time. Why does the Survivor Series have to end at 3 hours? I get not trying to overstay your welcome, but went way too short. Like, way too short. That Dragon Lee Santos match, like, especially that one, I could say it until the cows come home. That match being short and ending so anticlimactic just took the wind out of my sails. Like, bro, they're trying to rush for some reason, bro. Like, just go longer, man. Have a banger match. Santos and Dragon Lee, people were like, oh my god, this is going to be a banger. 8 minutes, boom, pinned him so fast. I was like, what the fuck? I literally got my dinner for that match, and I was like, oh, I'm about to eat. Watch this, dude. Ended before I even fucking got through half my play. I was so disappointed. And these WarGame matches were solidly wrestled, whatever. And I'm not saying that the way because, like, it's weird. Because AEW, when they do, like, these hardcore matches, like these blood and guts matches, you could argue there's, like, too much gore. And then I know WWE has their way of doing things, you know, sponsors, whatever, don't want things to be too crazy. But when you advertise WarGames, like, you're going to war, and it literally just feels like a 2023 no disqualification match in between 2 cages, like, nothing too crazy. It just feels like a wrestling match in between 2 cages. Kind of diminishes WarGames for me. Like, when I think of WarGames, I think of, like, when they first brought out, like, the Elimination Chamber, and, like, Jim Ross would be like, they're leaving a piece of their soul in this cage, no one's ever going to be the same. And you see Shawn Michaels, whatever, walk out, like, the next night, bandages, bruised eye, Triple H tape around his waist, and, like, it's just not like that now. Like, now these WarGames matches are just like another, like, normal special match. Like, there's nothing crazy. Like, it's not like, oh my god, like, everyone's going to war, people are like, after this, people are gonna have to take, like, a week off and storyline, whatever. It just feels like just a match in between 2 cages. Doesn't feel like a WarGames match. Like, doesn't have to be blood or anything, but it's like, man, they have to have that more, like, feeling. I can't be the only one that thinks this. Like, even though I know they have to do things differently in 2023, they could still be a more hectic match to make people believe, like, okay, these people went through war. Like, you know, we might not see some people on Raw the next night, SmackDown, they might need a week off, whatever, storyline. But it just feels like just a normal match. But, like, they were just matches, whatever, watch them. But if you take this CM Punk return away from me personally, I just felt like it was an average show. Like honestly, I just felt like it was like all of matches, nothing crazy, nothing. This is awesome, like nothing spectacular, and it's a big four pay per view. I felt really, actually disappointed. But that's CM Punk return, bro. Social media has been lighting up these past 24 hours. Every time I refresh my feed, there's something about CM Punk, something from somebody, and like the Raw now on Monday feels like a Raw after Mania, which is crazy. It literally does feel like a Raw after Mania with these returns. Like so much is happening. Orton and CM Punk both can be on the show. Feels like crazy shit's happening. It's like, oh my god, it's so exciting to be a wrestling fan because now we're thinking of all the possibilities going into Rumble. We have 8 weeks to build up Rumble. Like there's no December pay-per-view. There's 8 weeks to do fantastic stories. And we have all these different things that could come from it, Drew, all that stuff. Like everything is so exciting and riveting. I think that's the crazy thing about pro wrestling. You could have an average show, but if the ending is crazy, then it's like the rest of the show didn't even matter. And it was like the same thing when Rollins cashed in at that one Mania. That Mania was a pretty average show. Like if you actually look back on that, pretty average show. But Seth Rollins cashing and winning, and the visual of him spinning and holding up the title and the fireworks, like that made us think, oh my god, that's like a fucking, like that was like an old-timer Mania now. Like it's always the ending that makes us like feel a certain way. But the overall show, Survivor Series, I thought was average. Like when they were about to go off air, like and they put like the copyright logo up. And I was like, man, what an average show, you know, just like whatever. Like I felt like it didn't even overstay its welcome. I felt like it left too early. I was like, oh. And then the cult of personality hits, and I'm like literally have my hand on my head because I was like, man, we should just give up on this Punk thing. Like it got so annoying reading all these speculations on Twitter, going back and forth. I was just like at the point where I didn't really even care anymore. I was like, whatever. Like I personally just like don't care if it happens or not. But then it happens. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I had a feeling if it was going to happen, it was going to be like a good secret kept. And it wasn't going to be one of those things like CM Punk's actually coming tonight, you know, like, because I know Triple H does things way differently. And everyone's like Booker of the Year now, crazy. But like that Survivor Series show overall, I thought was just way too like short. Like, a lot of people might be like, hey, 3 hours, that's fine with me. But, like, some of those matches were just way too short. Like, big matches built up. I could understand the Gunther match being short. Like, that match was, like, whatever. But they could have gave them 5 more minutes. The show literally ended, like, 3 hours and 5 minutes. Like, you could have put 5 minutes on the Gunther match, 3 hours and 10. Another 10 minutes on the Santos match, 3 hours 20, another 5 minutes on the Rhea match. Like, could have still been a 3.5 hour pay-per-view. Even if you want to add a bit more time, could have been 3 hours 45 minutes. Wouldn't have felt long at all, and it would have been a great show. No one would have been like, fuck, that went too long, because then you would have got the returns as well. Awesome. But yeah, for me it just felt way too short. But the prospect and the speculation and all the ideas and the excitement of what's happening next, like, made it feel like a good pay-per-view to most people. Still doesn't change it for me, but yeah, so excited to see what happens. Now there's so much happening. Now it's like, can't wait for Raw tomorrow, bro. Can't wait for Raw tomorrow.